He struck him out. Josh Hader comes in and closes the door on the Texas Rangers. Shut him out tonight, 4-0.
All I got to say about that, Astros fans. Splash.
Big splash. And you know what makes it an even bigger splash? We got Chandler right out of the open. He's carving time out of his day because he is going to be on MLB Network in a few. And so we figured we should get him out of the open and talk about, well, the best closer in baseball being added to an Astros bullpen that suddenly Chandler doesn't seem like it's going to be as treacherous as maybe a few hours ago.
No, I mean, it's certainly the best back end of a bullpen in baseball. You get to the Astros, if they get to the seventh inning this year with a lead, it's tough to envision them giving it up. I do think, and I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer here. I mean, this is a monumental move for them. This transforms them, reasserts them as the favorites in the American League. But I mean, there are some depth concerns. I mean, it takes one injury and you're back to kind of where you were before you signed Josh Hader. So they still need Rafael Montero to pitch like he did in the second half and give them something. They would still like some of the young guys to step up. But, yeah, this thing looks a whole lot better than it did about 2 days ago when we got that release that Kendall Graveman was going to be out for the year.
You've spent years covering this team, talking about money that hasn't been spent in different ways, whether it's free agent money or via extensions, et cetera. This is a departure from that. What do you think is truly behind this sizable move from Jim Crane?
Yeah, I mean, everything we heard from Dana Brown at the winter meetings, at the GM meetings, and, even up into this week was that, they were pretty set with what they had. They were going to look internal and hope the internal guys stepped up with the bullpen. And, I mean, he even went on record at the GM meetings and said, I don't want to overpay in the relief market. I'm not saying this is an overpay because I think Josh Hader is worth this money. This was his value. He is getting paid commensurate with his value. But there was a change. There was a departure, and I think everyone listening, and you guys certainly know, that Jim Crane has a big influence in the baseball operations decisions. And was it as simple as, Kendall Graveman got hurt, and they looked down there and saw that they have, without Kendall Graveman, without Josh Hader, you look in that bullpen and you had three established relievers with considerable major league service time, and one of them is Rafael Montero. And that really didn't inspire a ton of confidence. Did that push Jim Crane to do this? And I think Jim Crane also probably had to look at, what's looming ahead. I mean, there's a lot of decisions that have to be made in the next, 12 to 18 months. Jose Altuve and Alex Bregman are going to be free agents after this season. Kyle Tucker, Framber Valdez, Justin Verlander's coming up for free agency. Ryan Presley could be a free agent after next year. So there's a lot of decisions here, and there's a lot of crossroads that they're coming to, and we've all kind of wondered, how are they going to handle the crossroads when, in Jim Crane's history, there had really never been any sign that he was willing to spend big, that he was willing to give the sort of contracts and spend in free agency like they'd have to replenish. And I think today, I don't know if today, marked a total shift, but I think today may have started one. You may look at today as the day that may have started the shift into maybe that second phase of where this team is, where this franchise is in its life cycle.
Well, and that begs the obvious two-part questions. We're talking to Chandler Rome of The Athletic here on Sports Talk 790. The Astros signing Josh Hader to a 5-year, $95 million deal. Obviously, I think this is going to obliterate the tax threshold. And if that's the case, does that signal, is part of the change that could be signaled that you're talking about mean they start taking another look at in-house, not just, replenishing from the farm system, but maybe signing some of the guys that are already here that maybe before you just assumed were going to walk out the door?
Well, you have to remember that they have done that. They've given Altuve signed 2 extensions, Bregman signed an extension, Yordan signed an extension. Now, I that you're talking about like the Tuckers, who's going to want $300 million, Bregman, who's going to want something similar to that too. I don't know that you can look at this and say Jim Crane's going to start handing out 10-year deals for $300 million, because he's always been pretty opposed to that. He's always said he'll keep the door open, but he's never sounded, when he's talked about it, he's never sounded like someone that's something he wants to do. But I mean, before today, the most he'd ever spent on a free agent is $58.5 million. This is the lengthiest deal by years he's ever given a free agent. So this is a shift, and you have to look forward. If Alex Bregman does leave after this season, you're not. If you want to be a World Series contender, I don't know that you can go bargain bin shopping for a third baseman. I got a position of that importance on the field. I don't know that you can go on the scrap heap and find one of those, and they don't have a third baseman in their system right now ready to take that job. So, I mean, is this kind of a sign that maybe that they would be more willing to go in free agency and see what they've got there? And I mean, look, this has never been a team since Jim Crane owned them that has gone to the top of the free agent market. Jose Abreu was not at the top of. He was a good free agent last year, but he was not at the top of the free agent market. Behind Shohei Ohtani and Yoshinobu Yamamoto, like Josh Hader was the guy this year. He is the best free agent reliever available. He's one of the 5 or 6 best free agents available, period. And they went and got him. And that speaks volumes to maybe there is a shift. Maybe there's a little shift in thinking, a shift in how they do things, and maybe that's just being necessitated by what's going on around them. And then, also in the back of my head, I do wonder, the Rangers just won the World Series, and they won the pennant on your field. And, I wonder how much that had to do with it. The Rangers are also looking for bullpen help. The Rangers had been linked to Josh Hader as well. Did that have something to do? I wouldn't count that out either.
Looking at Hader, which obviously is now something everyone will do, and for the next 5 years, anything from 22 to 23 or even longer than that stand out to you over, guessing about what the next 5 years hold, about, fastball numbers, break numbers, anything from an advanced stats standpoint, exit velo, any of those things over the last 2 years, or any trend you see that would impact this decision, either good or bad?
Well, he's 29 years old, so you give him a 5-year deal. I mean, just for reference, Ryan Presley's 35 right now, and Josh Hader by the end of this deal won't even be 35, or he will be 35 by the end of this deal. So, you never, like, pitching is such an unnatural motion, and pitching is just unnatural in general, that you never want to assume health. But I mean, every report that you were getting about Josh Hader, everyone was saying his medicals were like the most pristine medicals that they'd ever seen from a free agent. So I think you have to feel okay health-wise, age-wise, stuff-wise. I mean, it's disgusting. I mean, he's filthy. And he's a lefty, and, everyone's been clamoring for a lefty here for forever. And they finally have a lefty. I think if you want to really, really, get in the weeds about him, he does walk a few guys. His walk rate was up last year, but it is just so hard to hit him that, he may put some guys on base via the walk, but I mean, his whiff rate is through the roof. He's exceptionally hard to hit. It's hard to get extra base hits off of him. It's hard to put the ball in play. He can create some traffic with walks, but I mean, he's also, you look at now that 3-headed monster at the back with Abreu, who's hard throwing, 98 to 100 from the right side with a slider. You've got Presley, whose fastball is not dominating. I mean, it's mid to lower, it's mid 90s, but he's got the 2 breaking balls, and then you got Hader from the left side who can do what he can do. It's 3 pretty distinct looks, and I think that's important too when you're talking about how you build your bullpen. And you don't want all your back end guys throwing the exact same way. They've got 3 guys that throw the ball pretty differently.
Chandler, I'm just going to put you on the spot. Does this mean we've heard the end of the Johnny Cash entrance? Like, is Presley out as the closer, or is this going to be, as you put your Joe Espada hat on, a mix and match? Is there a scenario where you could see that, or is he here to be the closer, especially at this price tag?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think they're not paying him $95 million to pitch the 7th inning. I certainly don't think that. This is going to test Joe Espada. We don't know much about Joe Espada's managerial mettle and kind of how he can handle the clubhouse and things. This is going to be a test because, suffice to say that Ryan Presley was aware of this, and I'm not speaking out of turn on that. That's something that I know, that he was aware that this was going on. So this is not something that I don't even think he has a Twitter, but it's not something he found out about an hour ago when the news broke. This is something that he's known about, and I don't know how he's reacting. I think he's going to be at FanFest tomorrow, so maybe we'll have the chance to ask him. He'll be there, and maybe we'll have a chance to ask him. But look, everyone, all of Presley's teammates, and you talk to people about him, he is as consummate of a professional as can be. There's very little ego there. He's always a team over self kind of guy. But, at the end of the day, he's human. And this has I can't imagine this doesn't affect him in some way. It's human nature, right? He's done nothing at all to deserve a demotion. And I think, quite frankly, just judging from my Twitter mentions yesterday, he's gone pretty underappreciated here, just how good he is.
I saw the one you're talking about.
And no, it's not even just that one. It's a lot. He's gone pretty underappreciated here for how dominant he's been. He's one of the best postseason closers in baseball history. If he never throws another postseason inning, he's one of the best postseason closers in baseball history. He's probably up there with Billy Wagner as one of the best closers in Astros history, and I don't think he's appreciated as such. And I'm not sure how he's going to handle it. And that's going to be a real test for Joe Espada. There's going to have to be a lot of conversations had just about roles, just about how they see things. I don't know if Ryan Presley knows Josh Hader. I don't know if they've crossed paths at all. But, this is going to be a test. And I don't think this is something that's going to, fracture the clubhouse. I don't think Ryan Presley doesn't have that sort of ego, and I just don't think that's going to happen. But it's going to be something they're going to have to address, and they're going to have to address head on. And, I don't think you can just say Ryan Presley's going to pitch every eighth inning, Josh Hader's going to pitch every ninth inning. Because, what if they've got two really good left-handed hitters coming up in the eighth? Do you want Hader to pitch the eighth to counter the left-handers and then put Presley in the ninth? There are mixing and matching ways you can do this, but it's going to test Joe Espada. It's going to test the two pitching coaches, Josh Miller and Bill Murphy. This is something that, I'm not trying to sit here and tell you that it's going to create a clubhouse, division, but it's something that I think they need to be pretty straightforward about. They need to just set out expectations, set out here's how we're going to do things, and it may not. It's going to be incumbent on them to get that squared away, maybe even before spring training, because these questions are going to come. This is going to be a pretty prevalent story in spring training. And look, I wasn't on the beat the last time this happened, but when they acquired Ken Giles before the 2017 season or 2016 season, and Luke Gregerson was the incumbent closer and had pitched pretty well the season before. If I remember reading the coverage then right, Luke Gregerson was not at all happy that Ken Giles came into the fold. He asserted that he should be the closer, and it was kind of tension filled. It was kind of awkward. There's going to be an inherent sense of awkwardness here just with that, but I think if they nip it in the bud and they can, get these guys to understand that they're all pulling on the same rope and that how this is going to go, I think it would be a lot better for all, because this is going to be a pretty prevalent question in spring training about how these two guys are going to coexist and kind of how they're going to go forward together.
At least Luke Gregerson didn't punch himself in the face when he got the news.
Well, who knows? Luke Gregerson, I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, but Ken Giles did on camera.
Not over that.
They're both different dudes. So.
No, that was an accurate recollection of what did happen. There was some tension about it because of the position that he was in. Let me ask you one last thing about this whole scenario. You were talking about the potential dynamic 1 month from today. First official workout for the full squad in West Palm Beach at spring break. This team is made up of a bunch of guys who know, so to speak, they're in it every year. They're trying to win it every year. They've been to the ALCS so many times in a row. They know they're in it every year. Having said all that, doesn't this still help mentally? A little extra juice, a little bit more fire behind. We're definitively going after it again because of the move made by management.
Spring break, Wex, are you bringing the funnel?
I'm down.
He say spring break instead of spring training?
Spring training. Excuse me.
Break. If you bring the funnel, I'll bring the other goodies.
I'm down.
But no, I think this is like the shot in the arm. You know, and there's one of these basically at they've had one of these a lot. You know, when Verlander came last year, you know, the shot in the arm. This is that. Yeah, yes. I think all in all, this is viewed as a overwhelming positive move. You know, but like everything, with the Presley situation, there's going to have some conversations there. And again, I don't want that blown out of proportion as if it's going to be some big deal, because I really don't think it will be. But I think it's something that they can't ignore either. Like they've got to understand that they've got to have conversations and be direct about what's going to happen. But yeah, I can't view this as anything more than an overwhelmingly positive development, and certainly something that's going to have, you know, the guys, I would imagine, are going to have a spring in their step. They're going to be pretty amped up and ready to go, and understand that all they got to do is basically the lineup's just got to understand if you can get us a lead after 6 innings, then we're golden. Because 9 times out of 10, those 3 guys, presuming they're all available, that's going to be a pretty difficult 3 innings for any opposing lineup to score a run, much less get a hit or anything.
Appreciate it. Ryan Presley is among the players slated to be there tomorrow for Astros Fan Fest. We'll be live from there 11 to 3 on News Radio 740 KTRH. Chandler, appreciate your time, a busy time, and thanks for being at the front side of this story as it started to unfold earlier this week.
Yeah, go get camera ready.
All right. Yeah, I got to. Thanks, guys.
All right. Chandler Rome here on Sports Talk 790. He joins us each and every week during the regular season, but on a day like today, obviously, we're going to get him in here for his thoughts on Josh Hader becoming an Astro. The only thing that could have knocked off Texans conversation from the opening segment, but we'll get into that and more when we come back here on the A-Team Sports Talk 790.